It's been 21 years since the end of the Great War. Hero, legendary fighters, 5. Dawn of a new age. It's been some time since the fallout from the Great War. Heroes are brought back. Many of them went away and left in charge those that were left. Each galaxy, each power as a reward, was earned their own galaxy. So gone were the days when Sean, Bankron, and other powers like those shared a galaxy. However, the Builderon galaxy was still Builderon. The Bipple clan, after John Bipple ascended back to heaven, was in charge of the Builderon. As the Patelacon and other Builderon that served them were disgraced after their defeat but joined the Prince of Darkness. Glacial Alive was second in command, and the Alive clan far exceeded that even of the Patelacon. And the Cabelon had risen back to providence with a new leader, Reese, as RIX, a swordsman, and an ancient descendant of the old Cabelon powers that was last seen and heard of during the one planet where Siegfried Synergen declared its independence and wiped them out. And some of the old powers, the leader of the Patelicana of the Patelicon, Aquila of the Watmans, Elysian, the leader of the Insane clan, all of them were there. Also during this time, the composition left, and Antia left, and Reno Green and Brian Position remained to lead the composition, as now they were officially part of the Merchants. The Bankeron and Sharon powers, after receiving their individual galaxies, the Bankeron were led by Fidril, the Fidelians were now the heads. But because of the peace that had been won, ambition to rule the universe was no longer an issue, and many of the powers settled with their own individual galaxies, governing and providing for their peoples and their personal needs of their fellow territories within their own galaxies. Thus, the age of war prior to the Great War was now over. And in the dimensions, the leader, Tressa Rose, and the two that joined in the Great War, Malin Navel, Tag Pink and Universal, they were co-heads of the dimensions, the remnants of Damien's army as he nearly conquered the dimensions. And along with them, they had Boko and Plantitel, the leader of the Del clan, along with their forces, as the dimensions were at peace, and so they worked hard to rebuild the dimensions in a metropolistic state, just like the old King Colo of old had done. As for the Prince of Darkness, he was utterly defeated. Fallen somewhere in a small distant planet, he was defeated, weak, and many of his demon cohorts had abandoned him. In fear for their life and safety, they fled. The forces of evil were no longer organized as they once did. The Prince of Darkness himself was a rebel against the devil himself and claimed himself to be the new leader. But he had failed. During this time, Ricardo Yellow, the legendary hero of the old legendary fighter competition of old, before the Great War, had isolated himself during the Great War because he too felt ashamed, low, and his dreams snatched away from him. Our host and Debbie his former teammates fought on for Scholastica and participated in the Great War, seizing victory for the heroes of light. Ricardo, seeing that him and the Prince of Darkness had something in common, that they both were cheated, decided to hunt the Prince of Darkness down. He found in the strange, mysterious planet in the void of space. Ricardo confronted the Prince of Darkness. The Prince of Darkness, seeing Ricardo, found Ricardo wanted glory for himself by slaying the Prince of Darkness, something not even the Great Sword Merchant couldn't do. So he told him to quickly get over it and do what he had to do. But Ricardo Yellow shocked him and said, "No, you and I share a common enemy. That enemy is having our dreams snatched before our dreams of total control and conquest snatched from our hands when we were on the verge of victory." Prince of Darkness struggled to get up from his chair and looked at him with puzzlement. "What?" he asked him. Ricardo Yellow would say, "Yes, I have been training all this long time. Now I had enough. I see now the universe is at peace without a clear leader. This is a shadow. I see you've lost your allies. How about it? If I bring them back to you, to get you your strength back, you will have to do something for me." The Prince of Darkness thought to himself, "Here this guy is playing games with me, or he's actually serious. Perhaps destroying the entire universe in darkness wasn't the right call. Maybe conquest and gaining allies might be a better route." And so he replied to Ricardo Yellow and said, "Yes, but how? They're scattered all over the universe." Ricardo Yellow said, "I've been tracking them down for months and years even. I know where everyone is. I could have destroyed you all personally, but I chose to go through this route. The forces that had won are no longer my friends. They're the same ones that shunned me, rejected my rule, and even the control now, as I speak, falls in disarray and war. What better way to gain my vengeance and my power back? I stabbed them all in the back. That's how they did me, and help you rise to prominence." The Prince of Darkness looked at him, laughed a little before coughing. And Ricardo turned around and began to walk out the room. "I'll see you in a month. I'll see you in a few months after I dealt with your demons." And he left to go back on his ship. The Prince of Darkness marveled at this and said, "What stroke of luck. What was this all about? The fate of the universe is about to be decided once again," as the Prince of Darkness looked forward to whatever Ricardo Yellow would produce for him. Another time, allies of Siegfried St. He had returned and was the last hero seen before the end of your legendary fighter's fall. During these years, he had been building up his military strength in secret, gaining allies and establishing new powers. As the universe expanded, new powers emerged. And so, him and his forces, the Federation of the Flower, Kanaro Rota, and Spore Khan, and Treasure, Rhoda, Kanaro's niece, the Bankeran, Baha, the Baha, Prophet Elam, who was the ruler of the Baha, as Barara, the great hero of the universe, who saved the universe by defeating Magandesa, by sacrificing his life, was marveled, and the Bahara were well recognized in the entire universe. But Prophet Allah saw the future, and that a future ruled by Samaritan might be detrimental, as Samaritan was not one to be a leader of government, but a leader of war and fighting. and ruled under the Sun merchants, who at that point was the biggest and strongest force in all the universe, as many other powers settled and dissolved many of their armies. Only the Sun merchants, if they wanted to, could claim the universe. He saw this as a problem. I saw Siegfried Singen, now a righteous leader, as the one that could truly do something about it. Also in the bank were Penn and Audrey Bob Guardian, and also part of the Bahara. And Dick Funds was the next one. Ganesh Shuran, Ricardo Guardian, and Art Carl Guardian, and Bahal, and Sumibol, Ricardo's new disciple. Ricardo Guardian was the de facto leader of the Insurance, but many of the Insurance powers dissolved their armies or began to form their own powers and did not stop fighting. Ricardo Guardian, who was once a loyal officer of the LaFleur Empire, gravitated towards Siegfried Singen, as Siegfried Singen was once a loyal officer of the Androsian army, but during the next life. But Ricardo felt discontented with Samaritan and the Sun merchants taking power automatically. He did not believe that Samaritan nor anyone in the Sun merchant galaxy, despite their great assistance during the Great War, was worthy to rule the universe. And so all of them plotted in secret against the Sun merchants at Samaritan to figure out a way to get rid of them for good and to establish Siegfried Singen's rule. Siegfried Singen's main forces were Gaba, his wife, Stubba, his right-hand lieutenant, Ophira, the most powerful woman in the universe, the new power, the Mariris, were a Bankeron hybrid power, as the Bankeron galaxy was dissolved and scattered into new separate galaxies. Other powers like the Fame appeared, and before they were able to rise to prominence, Siegfried Singen helped them, and so they was indebted to him. And also you have Tan, the kickboxer, who went with them, who went after Gaba and Ophira and Stubba, because he had many of his teammates. Bomb had died in the Great War, and Tim had went off with Rostar, and so he had and his elder cousins had went off to heaven or dissolved. The elder warriors were also dissolved too, so yeah, that's the point. And so he went with Siegfried Singen. And also the Pentana troops, that were troops descended from Queen Alexa during her first appearance when she was trying to kill Delator, and they were the leftover troops, and Siegfried Singen rescued them and enabled them in his army. And leftover Joseph droids that survived, that were not destroyed by Kijin Bean and Colonia during his rebirth, being a god where the Androsian Empire and the floor name virtually ended. He found them in the basement, as he now occupied Planetopia, and decided to reactivate them for his own army. And then get Jenna, who was a former pirate and a space outlaw, who was rescued by Ophira and from death in Utopia for many crimes, but was pardoned. And eternally grateful, she used her now kind of plus size big structure to fight, and her toughness and wisdom to fight for the causes of Siegfried Singen. And Hugh, who was a Tegdoran assassin, an expert in stealth and espionage, and was pivotal in the wars, in figuring out what the Prince of Darkness was up to during the time of the Great War. And ever since then, he dissolved himself from Sun Merchant seeing that Samaritan was wasn't the type of leader that he thought he would be, and so he went to serve Siegfried Synergy, seeing that he would be a better leader. And you have the Bahara troops, the troops of the Bahara Banker. There was a great amount of troops that Siegfried Synergy had trained and held the Bahara to be a major power in the universe, just in case the universe no longer admired them as they did now. Away from the Siegfried Synergy clan was the Lagoon family, who were led um, by two sisters. But however, the representation was by Beck Lagoon, who was a man that had the ability to control the weather, mysterious gifts that were given to him by his ancestors, and passed down so he could be born with them. Farrington Yarncrow joined the Lagoon and never left them. But the third person in their party, Master Benny, became the ambassador for the Commonwealth and was seen as a distant man in the universe and still had some relations with them. And the Madonians were led by Merrill, Tefel, his daughter, Muse Cross, Merrill's wife, Anthony Starkey and his wife Nona, and Malcolm and Jordan, who was part of Team Madonia, but both Spice and Vix died, and Jordan asked Merrill to join him. And through conversing with his daughter, Merrill recruited Jordan. And as mentioned before by Ricardo Yellow, the Cthulhu was at war, and so the Fibs feeders were led by Sarah Lee and Sepun of the Merrill. Seeing that Cthulhu Galaxy and the Midorian Galaxy were close, and Midorian Galaxy did not really have a leader. It was also divided in clans, but there were no fighting. He sent Sarah Lee to stop the fighting and bring peace to Cthulhu, as Fulton, another ancient old enemy from the first universe proper, had returned along with the time disruption, but did not participate in the Great War like Siegfried Synergy did and a few others. He named the suppliers, and like the Zabloni and all the Faultinians and all those others, and they were fighting against the Sierra Rosu. They were like led by Post, the former Lord of the Dead. But this time, the dead were no longer around, so he was living. But he also had troops like Marco, Wendy Win, Johns, and the Araro clan, and Mr. Frobo. All these were Rusu clan that together used to be with the suppliers to fill food, and sometimes they would be like the guardians that fed the universe, the entire universe during times of drought, and the suppliers used to supply, help the Madonians supply the shipment to the universe medicines, and the feathers used to be those that used to go around feeding those that cannot feed themselves during the times of the Madonian Empire and various kinds of empires in the past. But due to war and ambition, everyone lost their way, and so the universe and those individual galaxies had to fend for themselves. The Carmel and Xavier also were at peace and started to develop in advanced technologies and no longer use cavalry and archers, but use tanks and blasters. The animals were let go in freedom and peace. There are plains, metropolises, and utopian cities. Utopian-like cities were being built as the two kingdoms flourished, and a big statue memorandum of the legendary hero John Johnson was erected in the borders between Carmel and Xavier, recognizing his sacrifice. And Mary Kath and her host and Debbie got close and became a trio of best friends, and they likely friendship will come to play a role later in the story. Also, we have the Sue Merchants, because some return, the son of Sue Merchant, and Claire Sue Merchant. And this was 21 years later. So Samaritan took the advice of his father and joined people before they ascended back to heaven, and had a daughter named Claire Silmerton. And Claire Silmerton was Samaritan's daughter and the inheritor of the Pendra's sword, and Samaritan fight with his fist. And also Uiyui became the leader of the Scholastica. Still the leader of the Scholastica. Scholastica was expanding, and he was the second in command of all Silmerton. Under Samaritan and the future heir of the Silmerton named Claire, as he was preparing the Silmerton dynasty to eventually take the universe when he thought they would be ready for it. Also have Mark UB, who was number 2 in the Scholastica. Not Scholastica, not Scholastica like the Scholasticans, Clonmel and Xavier, but Scholastica. And so you have Marco and Basil, the Silmerton people, and G. Lucayan of the Ghaldeans, Jerome Francis, and Mono, Ui, who was Ui's cousin. Med was also there. Med is Ui's brother. Four is the youngest brother. Social Law and Amelis, the 3 triplet sisters, was there. And the Baha, that's the defense section of the Silmerchants, led by Marsano, who was Siegfried's old friend, doing way back in Siegfried St. James first mentioned, doing Calvin King Carlo, ancient days. So he was like the almost reincarnation, but really time is function too. And he became the leader of that. And Yu, who was a general of the Baha leaders. And you have the Bolshoi, who didn't have a leader, but secretly had a leader named Analexis, who was also part of that Siegfried St. era after the one planet, and Siegfried St. trapped Alexis and Bashar in the dimensions with the Batalakan and turned the dimensions into a prison so he could take over the universe. But he was defeated by Gideon. And you have Top Deal, easy Top Deal. He was a descendant of Top Deal, one of the original leaders of the Bashar during Mappa's time. And then you have Post Boxer, who was a high class fighter. Then you have Hygiene and Mappa's descendant, direct descendant, and Ropa and Denny and Inyaya, and the magazine you had Perth. And so DNA is like DNA's revenge. During the time of Slave Zuki, doing the third universe, he joined them to trying to bring back so much of this glory, and he was an expert of vengeance and taking care of things himself. And so he too was brought back, but he decided to join the Bashar, staying with his home crew. And by the magazine and Bashar came very close at this point. And Perth was secretly tasked reviving the Jedi, which was during the Sumatran law was illegal for the Jedians to have armies and stuff after Sumatran, the original fought to unite all the forces in the galaxy, and the Jedi were punished harshly for their constant rebellions against the Sumatran name. So they had a leader named Khan Mag, Khan Let, and Thus. These were the 3 unnamed 4 Khan descendants. And of course, you have to take the right. Susie was Duke's girlfriend, who he fought hard for, and who King Royal, through the help of the albino, gave the cure for his disease. And then you have Duke, Warren, and Rom also here as well. And everyone else was just dormant, and not really doing anything. And so those are the characters of this story. So it's going to be lit. And it's my first story in over a month. And doing this new the last story in the series of the legendary fighters on my 24th birthday. So happy birthday to me. And so next we will get started in the story. As Sigfusingin has planned, Sigfusingin and his allies have planned to get rid of the Sun merchants and take over the universe without too much bloodshed on their hands. And what the call Yellow's next move will be, and the destinies and ambitions of everyone else in between. So until then, see you later.